She's our mother after all. Besides, you don't want her going to the press, and you know she would too. I would rather risk that than spend one whole month with her in my house. I know we don't have the best mother, but she's willing to try. Who are we to deny her? It is too late. How many times is she going to disappoint you? How many times is she going to come to us crying she has changed? Only for her to go back to her bruised, weed and men? I am through giving her second chances. I don't accept your deal, Pat. Go ahead and tell the whole world and see if I care. I will go with her. Chuck looked at him, then at Pat, and they stared at him, waiting for him to accept Colin's decision. You know what? Both of you can stay here and bond all you like. I will move. That won't do. If you're not here, the deal doesn't stand. Mother, it's okay. This is a compromise. Accept it. I will not. Rose is not your mother, and I'm tired of her reaping where she did not sow. Is that what this is all about? Rose doesn't need to reap from me, Pat. Not all mothers do. She has invested in herself wisely. She doesn't need to reap from her children, of which you are not one of. I am out of here. She's your responsibility. Whatever she does, whatever trouble she gets into this time, I am not getting her out. You are. If you leave this house because I am here, I will leave, and then you would never know of your sister. There was silence. Chuck slowly turned and stared at her beyond shocked. What sister? Did you think I wouldn't have another baby after you and Rose took Collins from me? Did you think I suddenly walked to a doctor's office and got my tube tied or my womb turned? Don't tell me it never occurred to you that I would have another child. A girl tried to follow after me, one neither you nor Rose would ever know about. You are bluffing. Are you willing to bet on that? I would have known. I visited. And you think I wouldn't hide her? That I would tell you? You, who betrayed me and chose Rose? Where is she? I will tell you in a month's time. Both Collins and Chuck stared at her. If that would be all, I will get May to prepare a family reunion dinner. How old is she? You are wondering if I've started pimping her already? She smiled. She's 11 and old enough. She walked out. She's bluffing, isn't she? Collins asked. I don't know. The brothers sat down, each afraid that they might have a sister who's living in a brothel somewhere. My goodness, Collins exclaimed. I will find out. I will hire Yomi, and we'll know for sure if we have a sister. But for the meantime, we have a family dinner to attend. Chuck got up to leave the house. Where are you going to? Few minutes ago you were prepared to live with her. I am sure you wouldn't mind keeping her company while I go for a drive before I bring down this roof with the rage I am feeling inside. Helen jerked awake from her sleep. Someone was banging on her door loudly. She sat up and rubbed her eyes. Who could it be? She never got visitors. Her landlady, she concluded. Who knew what she was coming to complain about this time? What atrocity could she have committed against the woman this time around? Then she realized the woman must have found out who called child services. Helen got up from the bed and pulled a t-shirt over her undies and went to open the door, bracing herself for the tongue lashing that would follow. I am coming, she said to the person. Helen threw open the door and was shocked to see Chuck at the door. What were you, dead or sleeping? He said as he walked in without being asked in. What are you doing here? She followed him inside. Chuck looked around the room in awe. How long have you lived here? About a year. She wanted to kick herself. She should have answered not long and saved herself the next series of questions that were bound to follow. He turned and looked at her seriously, and her heart skipped several beats. He was the most handsome man on earth. She was sure of that, and he was going to be hers soon. Her heart skipped another series of beats at the thought. You know, they let you furnish one day after you move in. He smiled at her. She lost her train of thoughts and could only stare at him in awe of that smile. As she smiled back mindlessly, Helen, her mind called cautiously. Since her other faculties have ceased to work, you are acting like a fool. Slowly, Helen tried to gain control of herself. I am sorry that my living arrangement doesn't please you, but only I get to live in it. She managed to answer him. He walked over to the bedroom. Thank God for small mercies, he said and walked in. Alarmed, she followed him into the room, only to find him stretched out on the bed. Helen stopped, feeling very confused. What was he doing in her house in the first place? Was this how much he missed her? Did he have a fight with his mother? Then she stopped. There were lines of strain and worry on his face just then when he walked in. She had seen them, but they didn't register because she was too busy being overwhelmed by his presence. She heaved a sigh and walked to the bed and sat down beside him. Tentatively, she touched him. She wanted to get his attention, but didn't quite trust what she would do once she touched him. So she removed her hands before her brazen body would register the contact and reach for more. He didn't budge at her slight touch. Praying for strength, she touched him again, this time more firmly. When he didn't budge again, alarmed, she listened to his breath and realized he was sound asleep. Just like that? She thought, amazed. Moments ago, he was taunting her about her house. No, she stopped. Moments ago, he was weaving on his feet, but she had been too consumed by his aura to notice. Feeling sad and guilty, she stood up and watched him. Then she decided the least she could do would be to make him more comfortable. So she pulled off his footwear and decided that he couldn't be comfortable with his belt on. When she touched it, she was instantly scalded by a feeling so powerful that it burned, and she removed her hands immediately. She wanted more. She should leave. She was previously going to make a mean pot of pasta before she fell asleep. She should get to eat, she reminded herself, but she couldn't seem to move. She was transfixed on the spot, wanting, needing. You are not weak, she told herself. You are a strong woman who had been through so much that your brain had to forget so you could survive. If you could live through that, you can unbuckle a friend's belt to make him more comfortable without falling on top of him and having your way with him. Helen shook her head, half smile and half frown. All this trouble over a belt? She mused and bent down once more to unbuckle it. Ignoring the scalding feeling the contact caused as she unbuckled the belt, she was about to rise and congratulate herself on a job well done when his hand stopped her. If you're going to take advantage of a willing man, maybe you should wake him up first. She slapped his hands away, finding strength in anger. Sorry to disappoint you. I only thought to make you more comfortable. She walked out feeling good, her dignity intact. Little would he ever know how close she came to throwing caution to the wind. She chanced a peek at him and saw his eyes were closed again. As she prepared dinner, she sang along to the soft music coming from the living room. She felt good that for once in 3 years, she had someone she was cooking for. Not just anybody, but the man of her dreams. 5 days ago, who would have thought this was possible? Chuck in her house, sleeping on her bed, and about to share a meal with her, she felt elated and in high spirits. Not just because she was cooking for him, but because he thought of her when he needed a refuge. That you were the first person to come into a man's mind when he needed comfort, especially if he was the man you are in love with. Helen smiled, very thrilled. With all that thrill came the need to make a wonderful meal. She wanted him to enjoy the meal. She also knew the way to a man's heart is his stomach, and she wanted and needed a way to his heart. With that in mind, she became more careful with the carrots she was dicing. This would be their first meal together, and she wanted it to be perfect. At that instant, she regretted not having anything but disposable plates and cutleries. She wished she had not chosen to live like a fugitive. But she was a fugitive, she said to herself. She was on the run, if from nothing, from her memories. She again wondered for the 1000th time if she was truly ready to remember, if she was truly ready to live this life she had come to know and love, the friends who had come to mean so much to her and whom she loved with all her heart. Would she just pack up and leave if she remembered and discovered she was a wife and a mother? Helen sighed as she shredded the chicken she was adding to pasta. The best thing for her was to avoid getting attached. Wasn't that why she lived in an almost empty house? But that wasn't enough, she accepted. It wasn't the house that she would find difficult to leave. It was the people she had come to love. She wondered why she never realized that before. Why she was so focused she didn't form an attachment to a house. When she left her heart open to form all sorts of attachments to people. She rested her elbows on the kitchen counter and had the most overwhelming feeling to cry. She was going to miss like crazy the man lying asleep on her bed. If she discovered she was married, how possible could it be that the love she had for her husband would feel as deep as what she felt for Chuck? How was she going to forget him and try to start afresh with a man whom she would have forgotten ever loving? Was it possible that she could come out of this happy? There was only one thing left: hope. Hope that she was single. Hope that whatever happened in her past would not haunt her forever. And hope that whatever she dabbled into was not her fault, and that she could forgive herself when she remembered. Heaving a sigh, she tried to concentrate on her cooking. It wasn't the noise in his stomach that woke him up, but the best aroma he had ever perceived, and his stomach grumbled noisily. Then it occurred to him that he hadn't really had anything to eat since yesterday. Slowly he sat up and looked around in shock, trying to figure out where he was. Where was this strange place? Was he still asleep? Then it suddenly hit him. He had driven around town for hours trying to calm down. He remembered longing to talk to his friends, but they were all far away in Eden Castle. Then he had remembered her, and without meaning to, he had shown up at her doorstep and had fallen asleep on her bed without so much as by your leave. He closed his eyes, wishing himself so far away from there. He didn't know how he was going to explain his presence to her. How did one begin to explain that his mother was a monster and that her monstrosity had driven him from his house? He felt that overwhelming rage coming again. Was it true he had a sister? Could his mother be so depraved? Prostitute an 11-year-old girl? Yes, she was, he answered himself. He was a living witness of how evil she was. He had to find her, he promised himself. He picked up his phone, calling Yomi again, but his phone was switched off still. He wanted to fling the phone against the wall, but two thoughts stopped him. He needed the phone to keep calling his private investigator, and he didn't feel like explaining himself to Helen. His stomach rumbled again, and he got up and followed the sweet aroma. When he came into the living room, he wondered if she didn't make enough to furnish her place. But he couldn't follow that thought through because she walked with Mma. Maybe she was on the run, he thought to himself and laughed. That was the result of watching too many American movies, he said to himself, and began walking to the kitchen, wondering what kind of meal she could possibly prepare in an empty house, and was surprised to see that it was not as empty as he thought. There was a big flat screen, state-of-the-art sound system, and the Persian rug seemed very expensive, so money definitely wasn't the issue here. Then he saw her in just a t-shirt, and he stood to his feet on the spot and awed, admiring her legs as she moved to the rhythm of the soft music. He wondered if the shirt was all she had on, but her slight movements revealed that she was wearing shorts. Even with her face bare of makeup and shiny from the steams coming from the pot, she looked alluring and simply sexy. The man in him reacted, but towards the stirring in his heart, he registered.